Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to crochet the Starburst granny square. It is a little bit more challenging than the normal granny square, but still fairly simple. Let's get started. I'm going to be using a 5mm crochet hook, and this granny square has 4 layers, so I'm going to use 4 different colors of big twist acrylic yarn. For the middle, I'll be using this yellow. For the second layer, I'll use this magenta or pink. For the third, I'll use this blue, and the last layer will be this brown. This is just leftover yarn that I have because I'm just making one granny square to show you. Okay, I'm going to start with the yellow, and first I will make a magic circle. And then inside of the magic circle, I'm going to make 15 double crochets. So you start with a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3, and then 15 double crochets. I'm working the 15th double crochet now. And that's 15. So I'll need to tighten my magic circle. Just hold it and pull on the end. Super tight. And then we need to attach with a slip stitch back to the first double crochet. So not the third chain, but the first double crochet right up there. And attach with a slip stitch. Okay, then chain 1 to lock it and pull your yarn out. Then you're going to cut it, and I'm going to sew my ends in with a darning needle because I don't like the ends in my way when I move on to the next row. I've finished sewing in the ends on my work, so now I'm going to start with the magenta yarn and join it to any of the double crochets in my work. So just make a slip stitch, put your hook through it, and then take your hook through one of the double crochets and make a join. And then we're going to chain 1, but this chain has to be really long to reach out to the puff stitches that we're going to make around. So pull out your yarn a good amount and then yarn over and pull through for an extended chain. Now we're going to do a puff stitch into this same stitch. To do that, yarn over, put your hook in the stitch, yarn over, pull through, and pull it up. Yarn over, put your hook in the stitch, yarn over, pull through, pull it up. And one more time, yarn over, put your hook in the stitch, yarn over, pull through, pull it up. Now you have 7 stitches on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 7. And then chain 1 to lock it. That's 1 puff stitch. We're going to do 16 of those all the way around. So we'll do one more. You're going to yarn over, put your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, pull it up, yarn over, put your hook in, yarn over, pull through, pull it up, yarn over, put it in, yarn over, pull through, and pull it up. Now you should have 7 stitches on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 7. And then chain 1 to lock it. See, it's making this kind of puff with your yarn. So keep doing that in all 16 stitches all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end. I'm on the last puff stitch now, which will go into the 16th double crochet. I'll finish that puff stitch, pull through all 7. Sorry, it's getting caught up. Okay, all 7 loops, chain 1 to lock it, and now we're gonna end it with a slip stitch. So I'm slip stitching into the first chain, not the puff stitch. This is the puff stitch and that's the first chain. I'm going to slip stitch into the first chain. Just like that. Okay, now you pull out your yarn and cut it, and then I'm going to sew in my ends again before I start the next round. I've finished sewing in my ends, and now I'm going to add on my blue yarn for the 3rd row. So make a slip stitch, and then we're going to join it in any of the chain 1 spaces. So that's between the 2 puff stitches, just right in there. Right like that. And then you will chain 2. Oh, there we go. And the next thing we're going to do is a partial cluster, because that will just be in this stitch since it's the stitch where we joined. We have that extra yarn. And we'll do clusters all the way around of kind of double crochet clusters, but I'll show you how to do it. So the first one we're doing will be yarn over, go through the same stitch that we joined into, pull out a loop, and then yarn over and pull through 2. And then we'll do that 2 more times. Yarn over, pull out a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull out a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And now we have 4 loops on your hook. So to finish it, yarn over and pull through all 4, and then chain 2 to move to the next cluster. So that's a partial cluster because I did 4 like kind of almost finished double crochets instead of 5. Or sorry, we did 3 this because this last one is the chain. Okay, now for the next one you're going to do the same thing. Yarn over, pull out a loop, pull yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull out a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull out a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we did those 3. Now I'm going to do 1 more. Yarn over, pull out a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. So now instead of 4 loops on your hook, you have 5. So that will be a complete cluster, and you finish it by yarning over and pulling through all 5. And then again, I'm going to chain 2 to move on to the next stitch. And in every one of the chain 1 spaces, we will be doing a cluster. So I'll do 1 more with you guys. Yarn over, go into the chain 1 space, pull out a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go in, pull out a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull out a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull out a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And then once you have 5 loops on your hook, then you can yarn over and pull through all 5, and then chain 2. And you'll do a cluster stitch in all of the chain 1 spaces, which will add up to 16 cluster stitches at the end, and I will meet you there. Now I've come around and I am on the final stitch here, so I'm going to do 1 last cluster stitch in the chain 1 space. So that is to yarn over, pull out a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and do that 3 more times. then you should have 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 5, and then chain 2. And then you are going to join onto the second chain after your join from the beginning of the round, not on top of the cluster stitch, but on the second chain, which is right here. And I'm going to join right there. And you can chain 1 and cut the yarn and sew in the ends. Okay, now we're going to join the 4th round color yarn, which I'm using brown, and this is the round that's going to turn it from a circle into a square, which means there will be a lot of different stitches used in it. So you can make your slip knot and join to any of the chain 2 spaces. That's a space kind of in the middle here. Then pull that out of the way, and then join just like this. And then you're going to chain 3. Now this spot that you chose here is going to be treated as the corner. So this is a corner, this is a corner, this is a corner, and this is a corner. So in the corners we're doing treble crochets. So since we already have this chain 3, I'm going to do 2 treble crochets into the same spot. That's part of the corner, and then chain 2 for the corner, and then 3 more treble crochets into that same chain 2 space from the last row. Now you can see here, this is going to be that corner of the square. The next thing you will do is to move to the next chain 2 space, and in that you're going to make 3 double crochets. So right here, I'll make 3 double crochets. 2 and 3, just like that. So that's 3 double crochets, and then we'll move to the next chain 2 space and make 3 half double crochets. And that's the point where it's closest to the edge of the square. Because they're smaller stitches, you can see it's turning into a square like that. So that means that the stitches are going to be larger again as the corner gets further. So in the next chain 2 space, we're doing 3 double crochets. And then as we move to the next one, this will be a corner, which means you're going to start with 3 treble crochets. And 3, just like that. And then chain 2 for the corner. And 3 more treble crochets into that same spot. Now you can tell it's a flat side there, like that. So the next one, the next chain 2 space will be 3 double crochets. The next chain 2 space, 3 half double crochets, then 3 double crochets. That's forming really well there. This is turning into a square. This is going to be the third corner right here, where I'm going to make 3 double crochets, 3 treble crochets, then chain 2 for the corner, 3 more treble crochets in the same space, and that's the third corner. And then in the next chain 2 space, we'll do 3 double crochets, then 3 half double crochets, then in the next one, we'll do 3 double crochets, then we're at a corner again, where you'll do 3 treble crochets, chain 2, and then 3 more treble crochets. Okay, and then in the next space, it's going to be 3 double crochets, then 3 half double crochets, then 3 double crochets. Okay, now we've reached the end. So you're gonna go into the third chain up from where we joined back there, and make a slip stitch into that chain to make a good ending. And then you can chain 1 to secure it, and cut your yarn and weave in the ends. And that is how you make the Starburst Granny Square. Thank you for watching.